right, so here we go, day 3. Once again, A is how we expand or contract our graph. It's the opposite of H for a vertex and the K. All right, so here we go. We have y equals 3 times the absolute value of x minus 3. We do not distribute, but we do need something here for our K. So it's a plus, so we don't put 1, we put 0 because it's plus or minus. If it's plus or minus, we put 0. If it's times, like in front of the x, it's a 1, or divided by 1, we put 1, but not when we're adding or subtracting. So opposite of h, which is 3, and 0 for our vertex. So 3 on the x, and 0 means we don't go anywhere. That is our vertex and our axis of symmetry, which goes up and down. We need to get at least one more point. I've always said I'd rather have more than one, but that's okay. For the simple fact is that we're running out of time in the school year, we are going to just use 1 point. All right, so we're going to replace x with 3, and then we bring down the minus 3. So everything came down except we changed the x to what x is. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to pick x, which is 2. So actually that's a 2. We would have gotten 0, by the way, if we would have done that. So we needed to pick one different. We could have picked 4 or we could have picked 2. You could pick 0, but you're seeing when this starts to go over, 2 is going to be way over here, or 0 is going to be way over here. 2 is the easier one to do, especially since we have this 3, and actually 2 is going to be way the heck off because we have a 3 now. So we're going to do what's on the inside. So 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. We brought down that plus 0. We brought down that 3. We did everything on the inside. We got that. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Note, I changed the absolute values to times because it's 3 times the absolute value. But when we got rid of the absolute value, which is 1, we do times with parentheses. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 0 is just 3. You don't even need the 0. You could have gotten rid of it. So it's 3. Now this is where it's different than what we were doing before. Because we go to 2, it's 1, 2, 3, and it's way up there. Since we went up 1, 2, 3, 1, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, and 1 the other way. We can continue that slope. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, and we can do that backwards. 1, 2, 3, 1. It gives ourselves a little bit more of an accurate graph here. And you're going to see compared to the ones we did the other day how much skinnier this graph is because the 3 has expanded it. When we were doing the other ones, it was just 1 over 1. But we're looking at this being larger because of the 3 in the front. So if you were taking that shortcut, you really weren't paying attention, this is where it's going to hurt you. Okay, and I warned you on that both days. Opposite of h, which is 1, and what k is, negative 2. So we go to 1 and we go down to negative 2. 1 on the x, negative 2 on the y, it's right there. That's where those two connect. That's our first point. We need to pick the next point over. From our axis of symmetry, we could either pick 2 or we could pick 0. And I like 0. Easy, great number to use. So I'm going to replace x with 0. Everything else comes down. The negative 2, the negative 1, the 2, our absolute value symbols, they all come down. Do not think that 0 minus 1 is 0. It's not. It's negative 1. I brought the 2 down. I brought the negative 2 down. All those things keep climbing down with you. Do the math. Put it in your calculator. 0 minus 1. It's negative 1. Now we need to do the absolute value of -1, which happens to be 1. Now, once I did the absolute value of it, I dropped the absolute value symbols and I put in parentheses. So this is 2 times 1 minus 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Bring down the minus 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So 0, 0 is right there. We went up 1, 2, and left 1. So we go up 1, 2, right 1. 1, 2, right 1. I could do that same thing. 1, 2, left 1. 1, 2, left 1. And I get my 3 dots there. If I were to do -1, I would end up with -1, 2. That's what that would end up being if I entered that in there. And we can see this one is a little bit wider than that one because this is a 3 in front coefficient. It makes it skinnier. A 2 coefficient makes it skinnier than the other one, and then a regular coefficient would be wider. A 1 or a -1. All right, the thing that we're missing here is that +0. For this, I'm going to put +0 there for the sake of we need something for our vertex. And it's 1, so it'll be -1 because that's, remember, that's -h. But the k stays the same, which is 0. So now, for the sake of we don't need that 0, I'm going to drop it. But our -1, 0 is right here. This is our axis of symmetry. -1, 0. Our next number and the easiest one to use is 0. Could you use -2? Sure you could. So we're going to change x to 0, bring down the +1. You can put the +0 here if you want to, but anything +0 is itself, so there it is. 1 plus 0 is not 0. It is 1. Use your calculator if you don't know your integers. The absolute value of 1 is 1. Now we do the multiplication. You do not distribute. 2 times 1, -2 times 1 is -2. -2. Make sure you're pausing this video as you need to take notes and watch it again. So I'm going to go to 0 and I'm going to go to -2, which is right there. That went 1, 2 down and right 1, 1, 2 down, right 1. I put another dot. Now I can go 1, 2 down and left 1 and 1, 2 down, left 1. That's all I did. I just continued the slope for my next dots. There you have it, our graph. Almost everything is here. The only thing we don't have is y equals -2 and the absolute value of x. Well, we're missing something on that side, the h. So it's plus, not 1, it's +0. It would be a 1 in front of the x or under the x, but not plus or minus. So opposite of, but it's a 0, so it's just a 0. There's no opposite, there's no -0. And -1, we keep it. Change it, keep it, but you don't change a 0. So 0 on the x and -1 on the y is there. This is our y-axis, happens to be our axis of symmetry. We are now going to pick our next number, 1 or -1. I don't like negative numbers, I'm picking 1. Whatever is next. Y equals -2. The absolute value of 1 plus 0 minus 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. The absolute value of 1, oops, Absolute value of 1 is 1. I'm going to change that because I did the absolute value. It's now multiplication. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. All I'm doing is keep bringing down that number. Keep bringing down that front number. Oh, no. Actually, that's that answer. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2. Negative 2 minus 1, negative 3. Use your calculators. I go to 1, which is right there. I go down to negative 3, which is right here. I can do that again. I went 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, right. I go 1, 2, left. 1, 2, left. Notice I went 1, 2, right. 1, 2, right. Know your graphing. We've done tons of graphing these last few weeks. There you have it. Take your notes. Rewatch this video if you don't understand it. If you're not coming up with the right answer, rewatch the video. I'm going to be looking at all this. This is what I'm going to be looking at. Did you get this to match up with this? If your numbers don't match here, and then you just went and looked on the answer sheet, and you put it down, and you're going to have a hard time because that answer sheet is in twos and not in singles. It's not to scale. So make sure that you get them done right because I'll be tough on the grading. Remember, rewatch it, watch it, pause it to take notes. Bye, guys.